You're watching ESPN's Feast Week presented by Lowe's, and this is the PK80 presented by State Farm. Thanksgiving night from the Moda Center, and a very intriguing game here in the quarterfinals of our victory bracket. Undefeated Connecticut and unbeaten Oregon. Kevin Brown, Sean Farnham, so thrilled to be with you. A happy Thanksgiving to you and yours out there. We take a look at day one of the victory bracket that has seen the defending champions rout Portland. They get Arkansas tomorrow in a rematch of a round of 32 game from last year. But to the task at hand, UConn and Oregon. The Ducks, a revamped team after a Final Four run led by this fabulous freshman.
Yeah, he was the 18th best prospect in the ESPN 100, and I call him Dylan Brooks 2.0. Because of his versatility, he can do everything on the floor really well. He's not necessarily elite in any of them, but it's the fact that he does everything so solid. He can play 4 different positions. He leads the team in points per game, and he's going to be the leader again tonight for the Oregon Ducks.
Troy Brown, the 6'7" freshman, also their backup point guard. He is on the floor with Elijah Brown, Peyton Pritchard, Mikhail McIntosh, and Paul White. An entirely revamped Oregon team. The Ducks lost just about everyone from their Final Four team last year, and they got a UConn team that lost a bunch of transfers, brought in a few, some freshmen. They're brand new too, and they think that's a good thing after a losing season. Connecticut ball to start. The winner of this game gets the winner of Michigan State DePaul, which will follow in a terrific doubleheader here from the Moda Center. Huskies go to work with Jalen Adams throwing it away, and the steal for Pritchard. This is an Oregon team, Sean, averaging nearly 95 points per game to start the year, and they have 3-on-1 with Pritchard.
Coming off of a career high 20 points against Ball State. He has been lights out from beyond the arc the last 2 games. You got to get a hand up on him. He's got great range. Here's what we know about Oregon so far. We know they can score the ball. The question I have for them in this tournament is, can they defend, and are they willing rebounders? Do they really want to get after it and get stops after they play that good first possession D?
Ducks with a steal already. Here's Jalen Adams pulling up, and an uncontested rebound for Troy Brown. He will bring it up, the freshman out of Vegas, and this foul is on the floor. Michael Stevens, David Hall, and A.J. Desai, the men in stripes tonight.
I think you take a look at UConn's defense too. What do they want to do? The keys to the game for them. They want to play money ball defense. And we talk so much about analytics. And analytics mean this: you're going to shoot the 3. You want to get as many layups as you can. You want to get to the free throw line. The one thing they talked about time and time again yesterday at shooting around is taking away those 3s and taking away the layups. They want to force Oregon into the mid-range game. And if they're able to do that, then they'll feel like they were successful defensively.
Ducks started with a 3. Here's Brown from the elbow, rejected by the lanky freshman Tyler Polley. I really like this kid. 6'8" freshman out of Miramar, Florida. Tariq Gilbert on the drive is bumped. Huskies coached by Kevin Ollie. Of course, won a national championship in his 2nd season. Last year, UConn's first losing record in 30 seasons, though. So this is a bit of a key year for this Huskies program, looking to get back to its well-known glory. Foul is against Oregon's Peyton Pritchard. Terry Larrier controls for UConn, the VCU transfer, and a terrific NBA prospect. He has the Huskies' first 2.
Yeah, what makes him an NBA prospect is his length and an ability to take you off the bounce and be comfortable. I mean, that is a difficult move for a player his size. He's got great length. His wingspan is outstanding. He's battled through a ton of injuries, though, to try to get to this point.
Torn ACL last year. Here's a drive from Oregon's 22. The grad transfer McIntosh way up top and wild. A foul underneath stops the action. It is against Oregon's Paul White. Well, Connecticut has started 3-0 after last season. They began 0-2, losses to Wagner, Northeastern, wrecked by injuries. Larrier, Tariq Gilbert, among others, their first losing season in 30 years. They've overhauled the roster. In this case, that's a good thing.
Well, it's a good thing because it's a reset button, and they've got a player in Adams that they can follow. Now, obviously, Adams had his own issues that he had to deal with the scooter, but you know, now that he's back on the court and he's playing, doing what he does best, And that's what he does best, is he has the ability to break you down. Dana Altman said yesterday, we're more concerned about Adams than anything else that UConn can throw at us. And a big part of that was last year's success. He had 27 points in the game against the Oregon Ducks at the Maui Invitational about a year ago.
Here's a three from Gilbert. Off the feed from Adams, offensive rebound to Terry Laria. These teams met 1 year ago exactly for the first time ever. Oregon won that game by 10 in Maui. Adams, the first-team All-American Conference guard from last year. Swing it out to Polly. And a missed three into the hands of McIntosh.
When you look at Oregon, they've got 5 guys on the floor that can really space you out and score.
White, the Georgetown transfer, up and under off the feed from Pritchard.
And what happens there on that drive, and it's a great job by Pritchard getting into the teeth of the defense. Everybody is staying attached to the shooters because everybody's talking about a shooter on today. Hey, they shoot the ball. They can really shoot the ball from the outside. What that does is it can create a seam and forces the back line of the defense to have to step over. A good dump down, a nice play, a nice possession for Oregon at the offensive end.
Huskies with Gilbert. He buries a three. This is a kid who was a McDonald's All-American a couple of years ago. Tore his labrum in the 3rd game last year. He is healthy and playing well. Gilbert and Adams, Connecticut has those 2 point guards on the floor. They have 4 good ones with Antoine Anderson, Christian Vital on the bench. No surprise to see terrific guards of this program. Larrier misses a three. Another rebound for the high-flying McIntosh. Peyton Pritchard, the only returning starter from Oregon's Final Four team last year, which went 33-6. First Final Four in nearly 8 decades. White way off on that 3-point try.
What a great run that was last year for Dana Altman's team.
Adams contacted by White, and he'll shoot when we return. Good start for Connecticut. The Huskies up 2 in Oregon. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. In part by Want It All from Nike Basketball. And by the long-lasting power of Energizer. Still going. Time-lapse video of the Moda Center, the Veterans Memorial Coliseum. These 2 arenas hosting the 16-team Phil Knight Invitational, the PK80 for Phil's birthday. We are thrilled to be with you. He's Sean Farnham. I'm Kevin Brown. Fun day so far. Maybe the most fun game, as we all saw coming. Portland State really took it to Duke.
Yeah, you know what? That's what these tournaments are all about. We saw a lot of upsets. We saw Arizona lose to North Carolina State yesterday down in Atlantis. And today, for the first 20 minutes, it looked like Portland State was playing possessed. Better than 50% from beyond the arc. But in the second stanza, that water that they used in the first half had run dry. And the Duke Blue Devils, their size, their talent, their length, all of those things came into play down the stretch of the game. And the Duke Blue Devils played like the #1 team in the country you think would. They used their size underneath, their defense, their activity, their hands. Trayvon Duval with the steal and the finish. And the Blue Devils have advanced.
99-81 was the score there. This is a look at the PK80 Invitational. It's actually 2 brackets because you have so many conferences with multiple teams. You can't have them in the same bracket. 23 national championships between these teams, including 13 of the last 19 national titles won by teams in this field, and no one with more than the University of Connecticut. 4 out of the last 19.
Well, you mentioned great games. I thought the one before us in this building was outstanding as well. Arkansas and Oklahoma. First chance for maybe a lot of people to see the talented freshman Trae Young, who put on an outstanding shooting performance for the Sooners. But I think what everybody else also saw is what I already knew, is that Mike Anderson's Arkansas Razorbacks team is really good this year. A lot of people just wanted to count them out and not put them in the discussion of what is a very good uptick in the SEC. But Daniel Gafford gives them the size that they needed. The question mark they had after losing Moses Kingsley a year ago, the senior who graduated and helped lead him to the NCAA tournament last year.
I can't wait for that one tomorrow. 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 local. Arkansas and North Carolina in that rematch. A terrific round of 32 game. Pritchard got it over the shot clock buzzer and buries it for 3.
You can't play really better defense than what UConn played on that possession.
Couple of triples for Pritchard, who has come out like a bat out of you-know-what this year. 10 for 17 from 3 on the season. It's a drive for Adams, who will get to the line.
Yeah, good defense. Look, you extend out your defense, you're in good position. A little back off, a little push off with the offhand. He gets away with it, clears enough space for him to elevate and finish.
They were wondering what the balance was going to be with Pritchard this year. He has to take on more of a scoring role. That balance is working out. He's shooting nearly 60% from the field. 12.5 points coming into today, and a team high 5.8 assists.
Well, everyone's role changed on this Oregon team. I mean, you talk about Pritchard coming back, and that's fine. His role is completely different than what it was a season ago when you had the likes of Dorsey and Brooks on the outside with him, Boucher and Bell underneath. You had opportunities where he could be more of a facilitator and pick and choose when you needed him to score. Now you need him to consistently be that guy on the outside while trying to balance and keeping everybody else engaged on the floor.
That foul, by the way, shot his second on Troy Brown, so he was out of the game early.
The zone is a very active zone for UConn on this possession.
There's a 3 from Elijah Brown, New Mexico grad transfer. Rebounded by the freshman Josh Carlton. Huskies have gone to a couple of reserves here. Carlton gets the ball inside, goes up and scores.
I like Carlton. I think he's going to be a very good player moving forward for UConn. He's just kind of got that deer in headlights look still about him. You know, we watched him yesterday at practice, and he wasn't very confident in a lot of what they were doing. And that is a normal progression that he's going through, but does a nice job pinning and sealing. And for post players, you stop high. Don't stop where you want to catch the ball. Stop early. Get that player on your back and let the pass lead you to the basket. A very good job.
Husky substitution, Christian Vital into the game for the first time, replacing Adams. And the Ducks will bring McIntosh to the bench as well. Victor Bailey, the freshman, is in. Kenny Wooten, a true freshman of the game also.
I like Kenny Wooten a lot. I think his upside is going to be huge. I mentioned Dylan Brooks 2.0 and Brown. I think Wooten might end up being Jordan Bell 2.0.
Number 1 in green. Pritchard on the drive. Wooten is there with a follow, and he got it on the second try.
He kind of looks familiar, right? Get on the offensive glass, long, athletic, protect the paint, be a shot blocker, be a rebounder, and that's exactly what Wooten is. You just carve out space. Watch, nobody puts a body on him until it's too late. So now you're playing from behind. His first jump, his second jump, better than anyone's from UConn, and he's able to put it in. Wooten originally had committed to ASU, switched in the recruiting process to come to Oregon. He's got a long wingspan. And Dana Altman, what makes him consistent? You know, besides winning, obviously that makes you consistent. But what helps him win is that he knows what his system is. His assistant coaches know the type of players that flourish underneath him, and they recruit players to fill the void of those players that are leaving that have a similar skill set.
Larry along 2 for Connecticut, right in front of Dana Altman's bench.
I just wish, you know, they always talk about that Final Four bump. And I talked to a couple of the Oregon assistants before today's game. I said, I feel like you guys have been a little lazy after that Final Four. Your recruiting is just really, falling off.
Couldn't you guys get a top 2 player, for goodness sake?
I mean, for those of you that don't know, Oregon has the number 2 ESPN recruiting class for next season as it stands right now. They have done a phenomenal job building momentum off of that Final Four run a season ago.
They just added Manute Bol's son, Bol, who is the number 4 player overall in the class. 7'1.5" and can shoot. That last 3 from Roman Sorkin, who is 6'10" and can shoot. As the Huskies go back in front with Gilbert, aggressive early on.
Gilbert has been on balance. He's been patient. He's seen his lane, and then he gets to his spot.
Pritchard at it, knocked away. There is a foul. Gilbert was there, Antoine Anderson as well. And Anderson is the culprit, the graduate transfer from Fordham.
Look at this coming off the top. There's not a lot of contact there, I'll tell you that right now. That was a lot of ball. My feeling is play on, let it go. I like when the game has flow and it has a little bit of rhythm to it. We're starting to find that rhythm in this game.
Only the second team foul against Connecticut, which has been clean so far, but active defensively. Keith Smith on the drive, a little bit too strong, and Gilbert has a rebound. Huskies do like to get up and run. Adams a three. And a whistle will stop it with a foul underneath.
Well, Peyton Pritchard has been in rhythm from the outside for Oregon. 2 threes already, but does he have a recipe for us on Thanksgiving? We'll find out.
We are here in the victory bracket of the PK80 presented by State Farm. North Carolina and Arkansas have won already. Following our game on ESPN, 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific, Michigan State with or without Miles Bridges, we are not yet sure. The 4th-ranked Spartans get DePaul. Winner of that game against the winner of this one. Middle of this Oregon huddle, Peyton Pritchard, the lone returning starter from last year's Final Four team. Here's our hoop scoop for Mr. Pritchard. Guilty pleasure. I don't know why this is guilty. I don't see anything wrong with admitting that you like to bake chocolate chip cookies.
No,
but Peyton gave us his recipe, and I don't feel guilty at all about saying I'm going to steal this.
Well, here's the thing. Every Thanksgiving, we're doing these tournaments. It's been a tradition of mine to try to find recipes that these players or these coaches like for Thanksgiving. He gave us chocolate chip cookies. Not the most conventional, traditional Thanksgiving recipe, but still it worked for Peyton Pritchard. You see there, the key is to bake at 375 for 8 to 10 minutes. Teaspoonfuls. He says it makes about 5 dozen cookies. Now, I don't know who he's cooking 5 dozen cookies for. That is a guilty pleasure now if he's eating all 5 dozen of them.
My guess is he's eating about a half dozen and leaving the rest for his teammates.
He's probably eating.
You think those guys can eat?
Oh, come on. If he was cooking cookies right now, I could eat a dozen during the course of this game.
Listen, this isn't about you. You've had your meal already. Let Oregon share the wealth.
Well, right now, UConn, you want to know where they're feeding? In the paint, inside the arc. They're 1 for 6 on the outside. They're 5 for 5 in every shot attempt that they've taken inside the arc. So if you're UConn, don't settle for your perimeter shot. Keep getting inside, attacking Oregon, forcing them to defend you until they turn that water off.
Now, they have not shot well from 3 on the year, and they get a takeaway here. Gilbert on the run out. Out to Reed. Gilbert makes it 6 for 6 from 2-point land. He has 7 to lead the Huskies.
First turnover of the game for the Oregon Ducks.
Huskies with wins over Boston University, Stony Brook, and Colgate so far. This is by far the best competition either team has faced. Brown back in the game with 2 fouls, missed the 3. On the rebound, Carlton, an Oregon player, Bailey hit the deck hard.
Well, Bailey hit the deck because Wooten made contact with him. It was friendly fire that time by the Oregon Ducks.
The talent gets inside, his shot rejected. Wooten was there along with Sorkin. Here is Brown, who is the backup point guard here. Pritchard getting a blow, and Brown bangs it too.
You see how confident he is with his length and his size. When he moves to the point guard position, he can step right in at the elbow. But that started the defensive end of the floor and the block by Wooten.
What does Troy Brown do best?
Playing control. Know exactly who he is as a player. And it's difficult to see when I've watched him play. And of course, we were here for the Nike Hoop Summit. His second main 3-pointer of the game from the outside, and both of them by Gilbert. But as we were here for the Nike Hoop Summit, you and I spent a week up here watching them practice. I never saw him look uncomfortable out on the floor anywhere he is.
Brown to Sorkin. Sorkin buries it 3.
And that is a prime example of being composed right there. Backup point guard, you just scored on your last possession, just dribble off and then kick to the outside for the shooter. He set that whole play up.
Carlton flips it up and scores. Nifty move for the big man.
Did I hear a rumor Jeff Goodman's in the building? I mean, I was hoping that he was going to stay over in Vet, but I hear rumors that he's here.
I think Jeff Goodman's in every building here all at once.
Tariq Gilbert, guys, has been really good the last couple of games. I spoke to him yesterday, and this is a kid who missed all of last season nearly because of a third shoulder, dislocated shoulder. He's dislocated his left shoulder 3 times, once in the 10th grade, once in the Jordan Brand Classic, and then last year. Finally feeling, and we're seeing it today, like he's getting kind of his legs and his shoulder back and playing kind of loose and free.
Well, the big thing when you come back from injuries, it's not just the rehab process. Everybody wants to talk about the rehab. Is he back? It's the mental aspect of it. And for so many of these guys, for UConn in particular, that have come back from injuries, Jeff, to me, that's the biggest thing Kevin Ollie's had to do. He has to get these guys to believe and not think about the injuries that they sustained in order for them to play forward this season. As we take a look at some of those injuries that we've mentioned already, in particular, torn ACL, torn labrums, knees. These are things you don't want to see come up on the screen. And when you come back, there's a period of time where you're unsettled.
Gilbert still has that brace on his left shoulder, but he's healthy and playing well. They were wondering if Larry would regain his explosiveness after the torn ACL. He seems to be about 100%. And the UConn players that did miss major time last year are feeling great early on. There's a new vibe around his team, health-wise and mentally. Pritchard back in for the Ducks. A breather for Brown, who gave Pritchard a spell. Back on the bench for those 2 fouls. Kyle McIntosh, the Illinois State grad transfer, smothered by the rim. That was sort of in between a dunk and a lay-in attempt. Larrier, high arcing shot will roll out. Another rebound for McIntosh.
McIntosh has just got to lay that one off the glass. I don't even know what that last attempt was. I mean, it was not a dunk, but it certainly was not a layup at the same time.
Adams trying to take it into the teeth of the defense. This one is off of a duck. And it will be Connecticut basketball when we return. The lead is 2 for UConn. Here the Phil Knight Invitational from beautiful Portland, Oregon. Earlier today, the battle for Atlantis. Villanova launched a huge second-half comeback and got by Tennessee. They will face Northern Iowa, not North Carolina State, which knocked off Arizona and knocked Sean Miller's #2 Wildcats in the championship game, noon Eastern tomorrow on ESPN2. We are here at the PK80 victory bracket. The UConn Huskies are looking to stay unbeaten here in Kevin Ollie's 6th season. Exceeded all hopes in his 2nd year. Led the Huskies to an improbable national championship run. 2 out of the last 3 years, though, UConn has missed the NCAA tournament. Only one American Conference championship in that run, and last year beset by injuries and early losses. They were 16-17, their worst season in 3 decades. Where is this UConn program? What's the state of the Huskies right now in Kevin Ollie's 6th year?
I think it's in, you know, we're in the video game era for kids, right? Everybody wants to hit the reset button. I think they're in the reset mode. I think they're in the reset mode to reestablish who they are, reestablish their identity. You know, they've done a nice job on the recruiting front. Even heading into next year, they've already got a couple of good pieces that have signed early. And I think the injuries last year, and I think last year was an aberration based on the number of injuries and significant injuries they had for players. Now, the American Conference itself is going to be outstanding this year. I mean, the addition of Wichita State, who just took their first loss of the season in a great Maui Invitational Finals last night. But you've got them and you've got Cincinnati. And I think Cincinnati's a Final Four team. Mick Cronin's team can defend. We know that. That's a staple for Cincinnati. But this year they're also scoring the basketball. They're averaging over 90 points per game. And so for UConn, even in a year where if they stay healthy, you start to see some of that swagger come back and move forward. There's still a lot of good teams this year in what is a very deep American Conference.
They picked 5th in the preseason media poll. Very good UCF team under Johnny Dawkins as well. Here's a 3 for Elijah Brown, a grad transfer, began his career at Butler, was at New Mexico, 2-time All-Mountain West player there, and has joined the Ducks for his last year of eligibility. He is a good scorer. Here's an offensive foul. David Honora, grad transferred his own right from Cornell, just picked up 2 quick ones for the Huskies.
You mentioned Elijah Brown, his father, of course, Mike Brown, who did an outstanding job filling in last year for Steve Kerr when he was out with his back injury for the Golden State Warriors. Also was a former NBA Coach of the Year when he was with his first stop with the Cavs, then went to the Lakers and went back to the Cavs.
Elijah's resume is peppered with not only different colleges, as McIntosh hits the two, but different high schools. He was in Cleveland for a couple of years with his dad. He moved out to LA. One more year of eligibility. Wanted to join this Ducks team, which certainly has a need for that firepower after losing Dylan Brooks, Tyler Dorsey, and most of their Final Four team. Gilbert through the contact, a hard fall for him, and you just hope when he goes up, he doesn't come down on that left shoulder. Gilbert will shoot two.
Now this is what UConn has done a really good job of so far in this game, is turning the corner, and Oregon's getting beat off the bounce far too easy.
Our question coming in was, where was Oregon's defense? What have you seen so far?
It's subpar, in my opinion. And Oregon's got to do a better job of not allowing teams to get a piece of the paint. UConn has had a ton of success right now of turning the corner. Once you get beat off the perimeter, now you're kicking a mid-range jump shot, three-point shots, and everything becomes a little bit more open.
Huskies are shooting 53% right now, and they're only 2 of 8 from deep. They are 8 of 11 from two-point range.
Well, and they only have 1 assist. So how does that tell you they're getting to those shots? They're creating. They're getting by the person that's defending them, and they're elevating up for looks. They're getting to the rim. They're getting floaters. That's where their points are coming from. It's not like it's great ball movement by UConn that's slicing up Oregon's defense. It's mano-a-mano. Are you going to be able to stop me? And right now the Ducks, they haven't answered that.
1 out of 2 for Gilbert, who leads the way for the Huskies. He has 11. Sunday it was Mattel with 30 for Connecticut to lead the way. Right now it is Gilbert with 11 on UConn's 25. Oh, Brown had it slip out of his hand right to Victor Bailey. Brown with an NBA range 3. That's well off the mark. And a bump from McIntosh trying to get around Carlton. Huskies are just about in the bonus. That one was 6 against the Ducks.
And that's why in the final 6 minutes of this half, you're going to, if you're UConn, don't deviate from what works. Keep attacking. Try to get Oregon on your hip, drawing contact, get to the free throw line. You can manufacture points, and you take away a certain level of aggressiveness.
Couple of baskets for Jalen Adams, the first team all-conference guard. That shot will not count. There's a foul away from the ball, and that will put UConn at the line. 2 quick ones against McIntosh on both ends of the floor, and Carlton, the freshman, will shoot. Look at one of the accolades for Adams. 14.5 points per game last year to lead the team. You mentioned earlier there's a scooter incident with Jalen Adams, who was suspended for the opener, a misdemeanor after fleeing the scene of a motorized scooter accident. They think they've put that behind him. Played the next 2 games, has played well.
Well, and Adams also, thinking about leadership ability, play out on the floor. Averaged 6.1 assists per game last year. That's 14th best in the entire country. You see how high Wooten got for that ball?
I think he's still going.
He comes in, he just gets boards. He's got 5 rebounds already in this game. He's got a block shot. He impacts the game in a very short period of time because he doesn't need the ball to make his presence felt on the court. And a lot of young players out there, they watch and they all want to be scorers. You go to AAU events and they're telling their buddies, hey man, I had 18, I had 18. Well, that's good. What else did you do? You gave up 22. There's a way to impact the game in a positive way. And Wooten is one of those guys for me. When I watch Kenny Wooten, I just think he makes positive plays with his energy, his length, and his awareness.
Shot clock should not have reset there. That shot did not get the rim, and I think that's why the officials have stopped play. That shot was way off the mark from Victor Bailey. Michael Stevens and his crew will figure this thing out. Oregon was trying to essentially steal a timeout there. Mike Stevens has sent the Ducks back. 16 put back on the shot clock. The lead is 2 for this Oregon team, which has not played anybody of real import so far. 4 home wins against mid-major foes beat Ball State on Sunday, and you see the number. Nearly 95 points per game, shooting at 53%, 42% three, and gone to the names you know from last year. Dylan Brooks, Tyler Dorsey, Jordan Bell in the NBA. Dylan Ennis, Chris Boucher are gone. A couple of transfers as well. This is an almost entirely new look Duck team. Picked fourth in the Pac-12. Reason to believe they can still be a contender. Carlton gets the ball underneath after the block for UConn. Here is Adams running the floor inside Pritchard. Adams scores from the left side and ties the game.
See, when you don't stop the ball and you finally get in front and you're below the free throw line, there's no way your help is going to get there in time to close that window.
That's another unassisted basket, by the way. 6 for Adams.
And then look where they're initiating their offense right now for Oregon. There's 12 on the shot clock. The ball has never gotten inside the NBA three-point range. This is good defense by UConn right now.
Pritchard trying to make something happen. Hit the underside of the rim. Huskies look to run again. Adams with the spin. Lost it on the way up. He was fouled.
We watch this last possession for Adams. Where does Pritchard try to get in front of him? He's already past the free throw line. So there's 0% chance that Wooten is going to slide over and have any opportunity, because by that time he's standing directly underneath the rim. And Adams saw the success on the last play and decided why not try it again, going into the chest of 2 Oregon defensive players to get the trip to the free throw line.
Adams is going to get another shot here. That was a shooting foul. Well, maybe this is the question. Mike Stevens gets the crew together. Was the foul called on the ground, or was it called in the air? Looked like it was a shooting foul live.
First of all, though, this should have been discussed before the free throw was even attempted. So how do you have mass communication problems between 3 officials when the foul is called on whether or not it's going to be a one-on-one or a 2-shot foul?
Well, it appears to have been a one-on-one, Sean.
When the ball is handed to the player at the free throw line, they need to know how many free throws they're attempting.
You don't like the slot machine? All right, as many as you want. Take it till you miss. One left short.
I wish it was that way when I played. I missed a lot of free throws.
But a foul against Oregon here on the rebound for Carlton, who has been big in the paint.
Now, I know this one is going to be a one-on-one. The foul was at the other end. That was a non-shooting foul.
I suspect that will be an extra point of emphasis in the final 4 minutes plus.
Just for me. Just for me. It's a point. I'm just reminding myself at this point in time.
Carlton has missed 1. He will take at least 1.
Well, who's been the more aggressive team? UConn. They've been the more aggressive team throughout the course of the game. The team that is the most aggressive usually finds itself getting the most fouls called for them, because they are the ones that are attacking the glass. They are the ones that are pushing and creating. And as we've mentioned numerous times now, UConn's not doing this off a fluid offense. They're doing this off of the attack. They're doing this off the bounce. They're doing it off of putting themselves in the right position to clean up their glass, limiting the second chance point opportunities for the Oregon Ducks.
Well, we have one more official stoppage here. That is the 9th foul against Oregon. I think we're checking who the foul was on as well. It was initially assessed to Kejab. This is going to be a 1-and-1. That much we know. Josh Carlton. And give him 2.
Now, this is the area where they were working on him yesterday, and in particular, they were working on his feet at shoot-around. When they were shooting free throws towards the end of practice, his feet were very unsettled and pointing in the wrong direction. One of the assistant coaches said, you got to get your feet lined up a little bit straighter so you're not shooting across your body at the free throw line. He did a nice job on both those free throw attempts with his feet.
He has played big minutes here in this first half. The coaches were tough on him yesterday, but it's the sort of tough love that I think sometimes a freshman needs.
But why are you tough on players? I always told this, if a coach is mad at me, if a coach is yelling at me, you know what that means? The coach cares. I want the coach to talk to me. I don't want the coach to ignore me. When the coach goes, oh, I don't need to talk to him, that means you're not in the plan. That means you got no chance of playing.
And a takeaway and then a foul. It will be Connecticut ball with an Oregon foul when we return. The Huskies in front by 2. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800 State Farm. And in part by Lowe's. Hurry in today for huge savings on all things winter.
Rip City is one city, but we 5 districts deep. And it don't matter if you from Southwest or Nopo or Gleason Street. Whether you be kicking it with Bunyan and Kenton or Flannel Rock and Pioneer, the one thing we all agree on is keeping Portland weird. Rip City, Portland. We are Portland, Oregon, home of Nike and host of the PK80 College Basketball Tournament, the largest college basketball tournament ever.
Good to see this where Sean Farnham spent Halloween. What is that, flaming bagpipes?
Yes, I ride on a unicycle often with bagpipes. But look, you know what I'm excited about is what's going on in the motion bracket as well. And this is the great uniqueness about this event. We've got this game going on. We're getting set for Florida versus Stanford. You look at teams in the SEC. Florida right now is playing the best basketball along with Texas A&M. Please note I did not say Kentucky when talking about the teams that are playing the best two teams of basketball in the SEC. It's Florida. And they've got some transfers as well that are playing big dividends for them. But keep an eye on Kayvon Allen. Kayvon Allen's one of the premier scorers in all of college basketball, returning from a season ago. And for Mike White, they were a team that made it all the way to the Elite Eight. The aspirations this year are to take it one step further and get to the Final Four. They've got Stanford tonight. Should they win, they play the winner of Ohio State Gonzaga, a team that got over that hurdle last year and made it all the way to the national championship game for Mark Few.
And we saw Texas beat Butler in the top half of that motion bracket. Texas and the terrific freshman Mo Bamba will get Duke, the top team in the country, tomorrow. Winner of this game, the winner of Michigan State DePaul will meet. Victor Bailey on the drive, and he was fouled. For Oregon right now, this is the big story. Right before the break, the foul committed was the 3rd on Troy Brown of the Ducks. So Brown, 2 points, 9 minutes, and 3 fouls for Dana Altman's crew.
First free throws, by the way, being attempted here in the game by Oregon. And they finally get into the bonus.
That will be the freshman Bailey. He rattles it in. How about these jeans? This kid can really get up. His mother, a 3-time Olympic hurdler. His dad, a wide receiver in the NFL. He won the American Family Insurance High School Dunk Contest in the spring. And if he can improve his outside game, which I certainly think he can over his career, just a freshman, he has a chance to be a very special player here at Oregon.
You know, and the consistency in which he's been able to provide off the bench too. And he's the one guy that I think does a nice job of getting to the free throw line for Oregon.
16 for 19 now on the year for Bailey. Ducks are nearly 80% from the line. Good move there. Larrier spins it home. The VCU transfer.
Kevin, where was that shot from?
Just around the foul line.
Right,
Sean, I think they call it the nail.
Yeah, the middle of the paint. Again, though, they're driving right to the middle. They're finding their spot. They're elevating, and they're doing it with ease. And Oregon's got to make their opponent feel uncomfortable.
Here's the travel.
Here, we always talk about this, trust the process. You know, we talk about that a lot with the 76ers, trust the process. What is exactly the process? The process is your system, okay? Trust your system, execute your system. And for me, when you're talking about executing your system, it's UConn right now is doing what they do best, better than what Oregon does, and Oregon does best. And another prime example of it right there is Adams goes right down the lane, no passing. There was not even a pass in the half-court set. It was just get to your spot and finish.
Jalen Adams has 8 points. He has the only assist of the first half right now for UConn. 1 assist on 13 made baskets and a lead of 5. Key jam. And a rebound down to Adams. His second of the game to go with 8 points. Here's Vitale on the blow by, and Vitale is bumped. He will shoot 2.
So last possession, 0 passes. This time a 1 pass, rip through, and go right to the baseline with the reverse layup to finish.
Is this a matter of focus for Oregon individually, one-on-one defensively?
I think it's a matter of will at the defensive end of the floor, the willingness to get that stop in that moment that you need, and the acceptance to focus at that end of the floor in particular to make sure that you're taking the pride, your personal responsibility, and your daily effort to stop the player that's right in front of you.
Free throws for Vitale with 30 points, a career high last game, spins it in.
By the way, you can pop me up on camera.
Yeah, for
it's
those
cold.
of you wondering.
It's cold. All right, I'm cold here.
What
you want to
is
explain
this?
what this is?
Well, I have a sweatshirt on. I just don't have it all the way on.
You are the softest person I know.
Well,
You know that? You're wearing like I don't know, what is that you're wearing? And where did you get it?
it's the official PK80 swag. You didn't get one?
I did not.
Oh, well, that's because I'm more important than you. Go ahead and turn your mic off now,
And
Jeff.
if I got it, I would not put it on. West Coast softness. That's what I'm calling it.
That's good. I own it. Right now, that might be what we're seeing on the court, too. I mean, right
West
now,
Coast
there's the East Coast toughness of UConn is paying out here in the first half.
This 3 by Pritchard. Oregon keeps it. Pritchard will take another. Not even close for Peyton Pritchard. Out of bounds.
But again, it's the will of what you want to do.
And it will be UConn ball.
Look at UConn's players. Look at their life that they have. The guys on the bench, they're clapping, they're getting up, they're being active. They're taking pride in everything that they're doing on the floor right now. And Oregon right now is just trying to find its rhythm.
Ducks have not hit a shot from the field in nearly 5 minutes. I mean, this fits exactly with the kind of intensity we saw at shoot-around for UConn yesterday. That being said, Oregon had a pretty intense shoot-around yesterday, and it has not translated to date to the game for the Ducks. Roman Sorkin will check in, give Paul White a breather. Minute 45 here the first.
And you think about, you know, the level of aggressiveness, and then people go, well, they've gotten to the free throw line more. No, these officials have done an outstanding job calling the right fouls. They're awarding the team that's being aggressive. And the officials have paid attention, and they're calling it exactly the way that I know that they should be. You know why? Because Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for officials today.
Fourth-ranked team in the country coming up. Tom Izzo and his Michigan State Spartans get the DePaul Blue Demons. Big Ten versus Big East. You know, the second game of this nighttime victory bracket doubleheader. Big question for Michigan State. Will Miles Bridges play or not? Tom told our own Jeff Goodman yesterday that more likely than not that Miles doesn't play. We have to see how the ankle responds today. Winner that game, winner this one tomorrow. The losers will meet as well as part of our 24-game, 3-day PK80 extravaganza.
Yeah, and to answer the question of why I don't have the sweater on all the way is because in the
America has been wondering during the break.
Because when we're supposed to come on camera, I'm supposed to take it off when we're on camera. Now I didn't know we had the Stoop came on.
Good branding. There you go.
Now you don't see that the sweater's on. That's why I'm wearing it this way.
Are you going to try to bring back the Snuggie? Is that your main goal in all this?
If we had an ESPN Snuggie that I could wear in this arena, and Jeff can say what he wants. It is cold inside
and he has.
here. They turned on the air conditioning because there was some condensation on the floor. They're trying to battle that. They've been battling it all day long. And so they dropped off the air conditioning. It's cold. I'm cold.
I think it's fine personally, but
you live in New York. You live in New York. I live in LA. Do you know how warm it is in Los Angeles on Thanksgiving today? It's 90 degrees in LA. 90. That's where I'm from.
You've just lost the entire East Coast.
That's okay.
All of our viewers from Connecticut are just cursing you out right now.
Well, I hope not. That's where all my employers live. Jeez. I mean, I really hope that's not the case there.
Well, you should have thought about that before you made fun of us East Coasters.
No, I said they have East Coast toughness. I actually credited you. If you paid attention, you know, I am talking here.
It's hard to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
Here's a steal for Larrier for Connecticut. 78 seconds in this first half. The Huskies with the lead. Larrier cannot extend it. And an offensive rebound snatched away by Vitale. Huskies just tougher right now underneath.
Really impressive first half by Kevin Ollie and the UConn Huskies.
Adams pulls up and does not get the roll. Knocked off the backboard by White. Out of bounds, last touch by Oregon.
That's good hustle. That time for the loose ball. Pritchard dove for it, but had no chance of getting to it. And right now, if you're Oregon, you're staring at a 9-point deficit. You obviously want to get a stop here, but you want to be able to execute and find a clean look at this end of the floor. I mean, UConn has been all over them defensively, suffocating them, not allowing them to get the clean looks.
Anderson will inbound for UConn. Adams on the floor along with Vital. The three-guard set right now for the Huskies. Freshman Isaiah Whaley's into the game, number 5. And there's a travel, too many steps against Vital. There's an area of emphasis this year. Officials trying to make sure they cut down on travels. A little bit too much of a drag there, the pivot foot for Vital, and Oregon will get the ball. Chance for one more shot and a half likely for both teams. Ducks have not scored the last 3 minutes plus. They have gone cold from the field. This outfit averaging nearly 95 points per game in the first 4.
But look at how UConn is extending out their defense and pressuring. They're forcing Oregon to be uncomfortable.
Back inside. No, the follow is there.
Good job by White. Yeah, White positioned himself brilliantly behind the back line of the defense. On that miss, there was nothing UConn could do to stop him.
Vital, last shot, short. And that will not count from Whaley. The lead is still 7 for Connecticut, though. A terrific first half for Kevin Ollie's Huskies. 38-31 UConn. Just 1 assist in the half for Connecticut, with some great individual play from Gilbert and Adams. And the Huskies have taken advantage of Oregon's defense. Jeff Goodman is standing by with the Ducks head coach.
Dana, you cut it to 7 there at the end. What do you tell your team at halftime that they've got to do in the second half?
Really bad ball movement, really bad fouls, and you know, defensively we're not fighting the dribble very well. So we got a lot of work to do.
How do you get Troy going? I know he's got that foul trouble. What do you do with him coming out of the second half?
A lot of foul trouble. You know, he just got to make the play that's there. Everybody's trying to do everything on their own. That's why our ball movement's not very good. We had a lot of bad turnovers, a lot of bad shots. Everybody trying to do it on their own.
Thanks, Dana.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, thank you. The lead is 7 for Connecticut over Dana Altman's Ducks. Coming up at the half, highlights of day 1 of the PK80. The battle for Atlantis with a big Villanova win, and a thriller between Rhode Island and Seton Hall in the preseason NIT. That's coming up at the half. Connecticut with the lead here in Portland. Welcome back to ESPN's Peace Week, presented by Lowe's. And the PK80 presented by State Farm. 20 minutes down between UConn and Oregon. 20 to go. The first of this victory bracket nighttime quarterfinal. UConn out of the American Athletic Conference in the lead over Oregon out of the Pac-12. Alongside Sean Farnham, I'm Kevin Brown. Troy Brown in your picture there has been mostly a non-factor. 2 points, 3 fouls for the Ducks, who have been ice cold from the field. As cold as some might say is the building, Sean Farnham. 12 for 36 in the first half.
Well, and you look at Pritchard and Brown combined, just 3 of 10. And they've got to get going offensively. Now, you've got to credit UConn for all that they've done as far as pressuring and getting Oregon out of its rhythm offensively. With that being said, though, it's a 7-point lead. It's more than easy to make up real quickly here if you're the Oregon Ducks. But there's 2 areas you've got to turn off. One is you've got to get your offensive game going. The other area you've got to turn off, though, for the UConn Huskies is you've got to keep them out of the paint. You got to keep them away from being able to score inside the arc, because the Huskies have done it time and time again. Only 1 assist on 13 made field goals in the first half.
And this is the 5th steal for Connecticut. Larrier off the inbound. Terry Larrier who had 9 in the first half. The leading scorer has the ball now. Now Tariq Gilbert with 11, who gave it up. Gilbert and Larrier combining for 20. Jalen Adams right behind them with 8 on the ball right now for the Huskies. 16 and 17 last year. A new look team, but they still have this young man, an all-conference returnee with a nifty scoop at score.
And an all-conference returnee that remembered having a lot of success a year ago against Oregon.
Paul White misses a three. McIntosh is fouled by Gilbert on the rebound. Second foul against Alterique Gilbert.
So here's what you've got. Here's what you got to do if you're Oregon. Watch this. You get the double team, you split it right away, and there's nobody there. I mean, you've got to stay a little bit more attached. Your recovery's got to be quicker. If you're Troy Brown, he was a little late recovering, and you got to close that window so he can't split coming off that on-ball screen.
Do you think that has to do in part with Brown playing with 3 fouls, not wanting to be over-aggressive there?
Well, it's not even being over-aggressive. It's just putting yourself in position to make the right play. You're more likely to get a foul when you're playing on your heels, right? Because you're saying, I don't want to foul, I don't want to foul, I don't want to foul. What your brain is hearing, foul, foul, foul. And that's because, again, if you're passive-aggressive, if you're just passively playing defense, and somebody gets into your chest, most likely you're probably not in a position to garner an offensive foul.
Brown guarding the ball right now, and Gilbert, after the couple of free throws, the lead back to 7. Adams, this is Terry Larrier. The VCU transfer rolls it out, and McIntosh takes the rebound. Back off to Elijah Brown, who had a quiet first half with only 5. Brown's pass wild, knocked out of the hands of Polley, and Peyton Pritchard has it. Troy Brown. And Elijah skies for the rebound, but is called for the foul. The whistle as Brown hit the deck, and Pops is not pleased.
And watch this come from your weak side. Well, in an offensive rebounding scenario, I've got no problem with Elijah Brown doing that. From that angle, it was really tough as far as the angle that we just saw in replay, whether or not the contact was initiated by whom in that situation.
Instead of the potential 3rd foul against Gilbert, ends up being the 2nd against Elijah Brown. Good hands here for Pritchard, who forces a steal for Oregon. Now we have a bump out high. Pritchard guarded by Antoine Anderson.
For those of you that didn't like the foul called against Brown, the basketball gods have a way of balancing things out with the steal at the other end of the floor. Good job by Pritchard being active, playing the passing lane, correct denial, hand up.
Brown around Anderson. One grad transfer to another, and we've got an offensive foul. A.J. Desai made the call, and Brown has picked up 2 quick ones here in this half. He has 3.
Now that should have been a defensive foul, in my opinion. He was going into a natural shooting motion, going towards the basket when there was contact made with the defensive player. And there's his father, Mike Brown. I don't think he likes it.
So Brown has 3 fouls right now. In your estimation, he should maybe only have 1.
That would be correct.
Adams left it on the deck, gets it back. Adams falling away. Look what he found. I'm not sure even Adams could believe he made that shot. Pritchard trying to answer over Honora. He scores. Peyton Pritchard with 8 points to lead the way right now for Oregon. And a carry against Gilbert, and some sloppy play from both teams has begun the second half.
And watch this play by Adams, the right space, right time. Rips the ball away from the Oregon Ducks and just throws it up before he travels.
Adams on the ball right now, guarding Brown. Only a couple of points for Brown, and a foul before the shot. That will be assessed to Jalen Adams, his first.
And if you're Troy Brown, I think you want to see the ball just go through the rim. I think you've got to get manufacture a way to get to the free throw line, something to get your offense going. Came into the game averaging 13 points per contest.
And Kevin Ollie was concerned about the way that Dana Altman utilizes Brown, the way he gets him into favorable matchups. We haven't seen as many of those tonight. Brown with the offensive rebound, finds Pritchard. And a long rebound to Terry Larrier. Larrier will bring it up for the Huskies. Lose it on the way up, knocked out by White. And Adams was calling for the ball. He was open in the corner and wanted Larrier to see him.
Yeah, on the spin, he should have just delivered the kick out pass to Adams. Everybody had collapsed in defensively, and great dribble penetration in transition usually will shrink the defense. They'll start like laser beams being drawn to the ball, and that's when you can find open shooters on the outside.
Carlton posting up. The freshman wants it on the block. Double team comes. Manages to squeeze it away. 6 to shoot for Larrier. Anderson skies in, and he lost the rebound on the way down. Barely a drag of the feet there for McIntosh, but Oregon will keep it. Pritchard guarded by the 6'8" Larrier. Trying to get around him. Brown on the drive. And Troy Brown creates some offense with a drive and score.
Let's see if that gets him going. As Joel Berry did this on Monday night for North Carolina in the game against Stanford. He finally saw one go through the rim as he drove to the basket. And then he went for 29.
Larrier thought he had a chance to dunk. Lost it on a finger roll, and now barely steals it away from Carlton. Ducks can cut this to a one-score game for the first time here in the half. Brown again. Pritchard around Gilbert. On the drive, McIntosh denied on the stuff attempt, but here is Brown. White goes around Larrier. White goes up strong, and he is met and fouled by Carlton. Ducks more aggressive here in the second half. They are within 5 and going to the line. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Hurry in today for huge savings on all things winter.
It's cross-conference chaos of the best kind. The Big Ten ACC Challenge starts Monday.
A whole lot of terrific early season college basketball here on our ESPN family of networks. More to come tonight on ESPN. Michigan State, the 4th-ranked team of the country, gets DePaul. Winner of this game, winner of that game will meet up. Here's a look at Miles Bridges. We're not sure if he's going to play tonight. Tom Izzo has cast some doubt on it. Left ankle sprain for a young man who many, including you, I know, picked to be the player of the year preseason. You stand by that with what you've seen out of Bridges so far?
No question. There's a lot of great players that are getting off to great starts in college basketball. Miles Bridges, it's by the way, the National Player of the Year award is also not given out 3 weeks into the season. It's given out in April. So there's a lot of
you picked a new start.
No, but I picked him to start. But I'm saying, like, it's even if he was off to a slow start, I'd still stand by him. I mean, there's some other players around. Like Michael Porter Jr. was picked by a lot of guys. Now, Michael's only played 2 minutes, and he's out for the rest of the year, according to Missouri, with the back surgery that he's got pending. That doesn't mean those guys are wrong either. It just means he didn't have a chance to really get going or ever really play.
We saw Porter here in April for Hoop Summit, and boy, he's had a tough blow. Super talented kid. You wish him nothing but the best in his recovery. There's a foul underneath on the drive by Adams. This is going against Connecticut.
This one's on Josh Carlton.
It'll be his 3rd.
You see on the bottom of your screen the news blast about Michael Porter Jr., a tremendous talent that had high expectations from Missouri. Missouri did get a nice win today. The Advocare Invitational down in Orlando over Long Beach State. Still think they have the potential to make an NCAA tournament. Kevin Purier, one of their veteran players.
How about Bailey trying to hop in, the former high school dunk contest champion, looking for a highlight. Instead, he will shoot 2.
Much as you give him a seam, and then you see the elevation. And a nice job being the aggressor. And I think that's really where Oregon has started to make a shift in the last 3 minutes, is starting to become more aggressive at attacking UConn. and using UConn's aggressiveness against them to gain fouls and get to the free throw line.
Well, that foul is the 4th on Carlton, who will sit with just under 15 minutes to go in the second half. Another freshman, Isaiah Whaley, has come in to replace him, and Carlton has played big minutes tonight. Bailey 2 for 2. The Ducks have this within 1. 4 for 4 from the line for Victor Bailey. And you see some pressure from Oregon as the Huskies were breaking.
What does pressure defense do? When you extend out, even just showing your pressure there, it usually brings a better bounce and more life to the energy in the half-court set.
You could set you in your offense a little bit later here, right? UConn hasn't gotten anything going, and there's 8 to shoot. Trying to post Larry. A good double team comes from White. Picked up the dribble. Antoine Anderson.
That was a really high-level defensive possession for the Oregon Ducks. They showed a double team. They recovered. They gave up the furthest pass away. They didn't even see it. Good job by Oregon.
They could take the lead for the first time in the half, and they will.
And immediately Dana Altman saying pressure, pressure, pressure.
Peyton Pritchard puts the Ducks in the lead. Adams reclaims it for Connecticut.
The problem was when they pressured, nobody matched up with number 4.
14 points a game high. Pritchard loses the dribble. It's picked up by Vitale. Good hustle by McIntosh, who tried to get a timeout before he rolled out of bounds, and he did not.
And Peyton Pritchard, first half, as expected, he's a three-point shooter. He's going to shoot more threes than anything else, but a nice job going in, spinning off the defensive pressure, able to finish, momentarily giving the Ducks the lead. And that inbound pass that just went zipping across in front of the bench as they were celebrating was to a wide open Jalen Adams that when they went to their press, nobody was around him, so he had a head of steam attacking Oregon at the other end of the floor.
Getting a spot cleaned up on the floor here as you look at Adams, who leads all scorers with 14. He had 19 in the opener for him against Stony Brook, suspended for the first game. Came back, did not score in the first half. Had all 19 of his points in the comeback win. 12 points on Sunday against Boston University. He does not need to shoulder the same load he did last year. This is a more balanced team with 4 good guards and a stable of bigs. But he's still a top scorer. That is off of Gilbert. Lost it on the way in. Oregon basketball.
Elijah Brown will check back in. Again, a couple of fouls against him. I really felt probably unnecessary, but again, when you initiate the contact coming in, if the offensive player initiates that contact going in, it is actually a proper call. Talked to one of the head officials on site here that explained that to me during the break.
Both Browns have 3 fouls. They're in the game, Elijah and Troy. Bailey a 3. And a high rebound for Vitale. Vitale with a scoop. Whaley is there. He missed the follow.
It might not be an easier shot that he will attempt all season long than that one, but he rushed it, and there was no need to.
Brown.
Great pass. What a great pass. Underneath, you get the ball down the lane, the defense reacts, you find the opposite big. There's a lot of Oregon fans in this building. No surprise, obviously, being here in Portland, Oregon.
Adams a pull-up. And a rebound to Troy Brown. Ducks can extend the lead here. Bailey passes up the 3, and Brown will resettle the offense. 4 points, 4 rebounds for Troy Brown Jr. Pritchard with 10 to lead a balanced Oregon team. Elijah Brown.
Did you see that closeout, though? That switch there, coming off the screen, pushing Brown away from the three-point line. That was a really good job defensively.
Another rebound off the Larry miss to Troy Brown. Troy Brown with a tough shot falling away and a foul against UConn. 8th of the half committed by the Huskies.
Watch this. Brown gets the ball, passes it to White as the defense has to pinch over. You see how much they overcommitted to the ball, and that left the backside vacated, and the easy finish for Wooten. That's great offense that time.
So free throws for Troy Brown, 5-star small forward. McDonald's All-American. In the ESPN 100 era, past decade or so, Troy was Oregon's highest rated recruit until about a week ago when the Ducks signed Bol Bol, the son of Manute Bol, who will be coming to Eugene next year, number 4 in this year's ESPN 100. And that Ducks class could be number 2 when our updated rankings come out.
Yeah, the updated rankings came out today. So number 2 overall. As Troy Brown checks out of the game.
And it's funny, we now think of Oregon in the short term as one of these basketball powers. They certainly weren't. They hadn't made a Final Four for 78 years until last year. The job Dana Altman has done is just extraordinary.
He's one of the best coaches in the country. You know, he just goes about his business. I always judge coaches on this. There's a certain level of expectation that you may have for a team or a program. How often does your program exceed those expectations? And more often than not, Dana Altman's teams not only meet, but exceed the expectations that us in the media often put on their teams. And the Oregon Ducks have come out. They've been more aggressive at both ends of the floor. And after trailing by 7, they're up by 3.
Check out our assist of the game, brought to you by State Farm. It's this one, Brown to White, down to Newton for the Ducks.
And again, when you move the ball quick and you're the aggressive team, good things will happen to you. That's a great assist, just like Cliff gave Chris before he left Los Angeles in the most recent commercial for State Farm.
There's Phil Knight. This is the PK80, and it is his 80th birthday celebration. And how about this? Phil Knight will turn 80 on February 24th. We're just getting a head start.
Yeah, we're just getting a head start because it's a great time of year to be talking basketball. And again, I mentioned this earlier in the half. You know, we talked about the first half and only 2 free throws attempted by Oregon in the first 20 minutes. They have 8 free throws attempted here in the first 8 minutes and 8 seconds of the second half. They have been much more aggressive and earning the fouls that they have been called to get to the free throw line. And by the way, they haven't missed one. They're 10 for 10 as a team.
So far, the second half has been 808 of heartbreak for Connecticut. 7-point lead turned into a 3-point deficit. Huskies in command with Alterique Gilbert. 11 points behind Jalen Adams, 14. Matched up with Sorkin, the big man, and Gilbert takes advantage of that.
And for UConn, it's the same recipe of success. Go one-on-one and try to find a lane. Still only 1 assist. 1 assist for the Huskies.
I mean, that's amazing. We're 28.5 minutes into this game, and UConn's down 1 with a single assist. And they'll get the ball back. This is a foul against Oregon's Victor Bailey.
And Gilbert, a lot of dribbling. He had the mismatch. He got into a dance, and he was able to finish the dance first.
Sorkin, who was just burned on that play, will check out of the game. Troy Brown returns with the 3 fouls. Elijah Brown with 3 fouls for Oregon as well. Antoine Anderson, a graduate transfer from Fordham. And the 3 guards in the game right now for UConn.
Again, Oregon's difference as far as their energy level goes, as far as their attention to detail, staying attached has been much better here in the second half.
Anderson trying to get around Troy Brown, and Anderson is fouled. Check the foul after this. Tomorrow, number 2 Miami looks to keep its undefeated season alive against Pitt, noon Eastern on ABC. Last game before the ACC Championship for the Canes. Also streaming live on the ESPN app. Foul was against Kenny Wooten, his 3rd.
And he'll come out of the game.
And he's going to check out for Paul White, so it was not on Brown. He continues to play with 3.
Well, Brown was in a good position, though, staying in front of him, and it was Wooten that came in on the side and made the contact.
Antoine Anderson, young man with a reputation as a big shot maker, and a couple of buzzer beaters to win some games for Fordham last year. Came here as the third or fourth guard, depending on how Vital's playing. He just loved this program. 3 transfers out, 4 in for this Connecticut team this year.
We go to the zone defense this time for UConn. They've been playing majority man-to-man. They've fallen back into the zone a couple of times.
Pritchard to the handoff. McIntosh getting around Anderson. Honora got his body in the way, but he's called for a blocking foul.
They worked the shot clock that time all the way down. They had the ball inside at the elbow a couple of times and some nifty ball handling here. And again, the defense a step slow reacting on that back line. McIntosh able to finish off the glass. That's the thing about Oregon. They have such versatility all on the floor. I mean, when you've got bigs, and McIntosh is considered a big, you got a big that can handle the ball like that.
6'7", 240, and it's not a team with a ton of size. You don't see much of 6'10", 6'11 players on this Oregon roster. McIntosh's going to have to play big after the loss of Jordan Bell, Chris Boucher, and front court depth that the Ducks had in spades last year.
Adams trying to get an isolation.
Adams over White. Flips it off the back rim. Rebound for Troy Brown.
I mean, that's one pass. Adams tells his big to get out of there as Brown was playing post defense. And then he just drove into traffic and shot the ball. I think as much as UConn's had success with their one-on-one playmaking ability, you've got to pass it at least a couple of times in your offensive set to create that seam in that gap.
Paul White draws the contact and scores. The Georgetown transfer has the Ducks up 3. 8 points tonight for White. One of 6 Oregon players with at least 6 in the game. Ducks have 9 players at 7 points per game or more on the year. That balance is hit. And here's a rejection by White on the drive from Gilbert. Paul White, the 6'9" redshirt junior, with an emphatic denial. Here's what's going on right across the way, just a few steps from us. 27, if you ask our pal Bill Walton.
It's more than that.
Florida and Stanford in the motion bracket. Have you measured it out? You taking the steps?
I have not taken the steps, but I do know this. Florida will continue to take steps forward to try to compete for an SEC championship this year and an end destination in Texas in April.
Gonzaga and Ohio State, the game to follow that. In the motion bracket, those games on ESPN2. The Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Off the inbound, Gilbert misses, and McIntosh slips. This will stay with UConn. We are in the victory bracket. This is the motion bracket. 2 8-team brackets here. Technically, these are 2 8-team tournaments, not one big 16-team one. Duke got the win over a really feisty Portland State team, which led at the half. They will get Shaka Smart's Texas Longhorns, who won a bit of an ugly one against Butler, but a victory nonetheless.
Well, look, whether they're pretty or not, it doesn't matter at the end of the year. We're going to remember that as a W. And you look at the game that's going on right now, Florida, Stanford, and then coming up later on tonight, Ohio State versus the team that was a runner-up in the national championship game, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. A lot of turnover on their roster as well, but one thing that remains the same is good guard play, and Josh Perkins is the guy that last year played alongside Nigel Williams-Goss, and this year he's in charge of all the responsibility.
3/4 of last year's Final Four in these 2 buildings, one of them on the floor in green right now. Antoine Anderson is fouled. That is the 4th foul charged to Elijah Brown in the game, and he will depart.
There's been 4 shot attempts at this end of the floor since the ball has crossed half court to go the other way. You know how many total passes there have been, not counting inbounds passes for UConn?
I don't. None of it.
3.
More shots than passes until now.
I mean, you've got to move the ball a little bit. You've got to make the defense shift. You can still go one-on-one. You can still get in your screen action. It's been so good for you.
Anderson missed the step back 3. Foul underneath will keep it here. It's another one of those shots created in isolation, though.
But I'm okay with shots created in isolation. I think Kevin Ollie is as well. But you still want the defense to have to at least, deal with a ball reversal, getting the ball inside, passing it back out. Because when you force the defense to move, collapse, and then recover, that's when you're going to get better lanes or better seams to attack on their one-on-one moves. If you just dribble the ball down the floor and there's 5 guys in the paint and you drive right into their chest, it makes the degree of difficulty of your shot a lot higher than it needs to be.
Free throw missed by Whaley, and that's an empty possession. It was a long one for UConn.
And if you're Oregon, I mean, you're not pleased with the fact that your opponent got that many looks at the rim, but you're pleased that you stopped all of them.
Texas outscored the Huskies 20-10 here in the second half. Troy Brown at 3. And a rebound for Anderson. These teams have been pulled from deep in the second half. Anderson, that is a push-off. Offensive foul, Connecticut.
Yeah, that is as easy of a push-off call that you will see. Again, in transition, no passes in the offense. And you just get your hand on the hip, extend out your arm. That's an easy call.
8:22 to play second half. UConn has 1 assist. 1 in the game, none in the second half. Kevin Ollie's a point guard. He can't love that number. 6-year head coach of the Huskies, couple of years under Jim Calhoun. National championship in year 2. The losing record, their first in 30 years. Last year in year 5.
You keep them from coming downhill, and that's what Oregon's done here in the second half, and the shooting percentages continue to drop for the Huskies.
And an offensive foul against the Ducks. McIntosh on the high screen. That's his 4th. Both teams well into the bonus here in the second half.
That's a good call.
This is a wide screen.
Well, it's a wide screen, and he moved. I mean, he actually leaned in to try to get it. There's 2 reasons why that's a problem. One is his base was far too wide. He's got to keep his base a little tighter. That's been a point of emphasis this year by J.D. Collins, the outstanding national director of officials for the NCAA. Now, the other aspect of it that you've got to do is, as a guard, you've got to take your man below the level of the screen so that your screener doesn't feel the desire or the need to lean into it. So part of that's also on the ball handler.
4th foul against David Honora sends us to a break. Riding the max here in Portland. Ducks lead by 3.
There was this coach from the University of Oregon. The man was a shoeologist, the world's first sneaker scientist. He combined art and science, and I guess you can say breakfast. Because one day, he decided to pour rubber onto his wife's waffle maker, then place that rubber waffle on the bottom of a running shoe. At that moment, he took athletic shoe science into a whole new dimension. It was like E equals MC. What? That coach's name is Bill Bowerman, and he was the co-founder of Nike.
There's one co-founder of Nike, and there's the other, Bill and Phil. Phil Knight, we celebrate his legacy, his life, his upcoming 80th birthday here at the PK80. Never before has there been an early season tournament with this kind of talent assembled. It is such a thrill for us to be here. Games tomorrow, games on Sunday, and some great women's games on Saturday as well. I mean, you can't ask for a better weekend of basketball until the NCAA's in this.
No, I mean, this is a preview of the NCAA tournament here in November. I mean, that's the quality of basketball that you're seeing over the next 3 out of the next 4 days. I mean, counting today, tomorrow, then we're taking an off day on Saturday on these 2 tournaments with the championships, 3rd place games coming up on Sunday. Take these numbers into account, by the way. In the second half for UConn, 0 assists, 6 turnovers.
UConn's only assist, Sean, came with 14 minutes and 1 second to go in the first half. More than 26 minutes now without one as Larrier scores off a feed from Adams.
And that counts as an assist. It should at least.
It better.
I mean, but that was exactly what you want to do. Use your penetration to open up the offense and share the ball with your teammate.
Rebound Honora off the miss from Bailey. UConn down by 3, under 7.5 to go. That is an assist, so Adams has both of Connecticut's assists in the game. And that has to be a point of emphasis in the huddle there for Kevin Ollie, right?
Well, drive and force the defense to get collapsed onto you and then kick.
Gilbert floats it up. Honora taps it out. Larrier in the corner. And we're tied.
Back-to-back possessions where you had multiple passes and you found open teammates. And I realize that one of them came on an offensive rebound and a kick out, but you go for having one assist for the first 33+ minutes of this game. And then you have 2 assists on back-to-back possessions and you get 5 points. It's not hard. Basketball is not a complicated sport. Share the ball. Find your teammate. And when you find your teammate, guess what happens? You get a higher percentage shot. You can close the gap real quick, and you can even the score like we've seen right now. It's 53 apiece.
Got a terrific early season tournament. The NIT tip-off will crown a champion tomorrow night. Virginia with a blowout win over Vanderbilt earlier today, and then Rhode Island. Jared Terrell, 32 points for the Rams as they upset Seton Hall.
Well, and just a great job coaching by Danny Hurley for Rhode Island. I mean, they're doing this without AC Matthews, who is their most important player. He injured his arm in a game against Nevada about 2 weeks ago, so he's missing right now the preseason entertainment. That is a big victory because Seton Hall had been playing really good basketball prior to today's contest, and it was a great clutch shot in the waning seconds. I think 5.2 seconds left to go on the clock when the game winner went down.
Not all loss for Vanderbilt. Terrific recruited class being built by the Commodores right now.
You got Garland originally, and then once they got Darius Garland, and now they have Sammy Shitu as well. I mean, he is a top 15 prospect in the 100, and they got a chance to add some other pieces to this thing that would make Vandy's recruiting class that much higher.
All right, number 6 overall. Here's an offensive foul against Elijah Brown, and he is done.
Well, you cannot dip your shoulder like that and initiate the contact into the defensive player, and Dana Altman, I'm sure, is telling him that right now. Why force it in that moment? You don't need to do it.
5 points, 5 fouls for number 5 in game 5.
The kick out and on the drive. Watch this. You just dip your shoulder in. You didn't get to see it at the end there, but he clearly initiates the contact into the defensive player.
Gilbert. Up over right, and Gilbert angles it in to give UConn the lead. 15 points to lead the Huskies for the redshirt freshman.
They receive the screen up top, and again, their rotations defensively on the on-ball screens have been a step slow all night long. We've either seen them get split or be late, and that time White was late. He hid behind the screener, did not show it all, did not force Gilbert to dribble the ball anywhere other than directly to the rim.
New career high for the redshirt freshman Gilbert. He, Adams, and Larrier have combined for 44 of the 56 Connecticut points.
Do you see how White was directly behind the screener? And so then as you get the step, if you're Gilbert, there's nobody there to stop you. Smith could have pinched in a step sooner and helped off of his man on the wing and closed that window maybe. But you've got to be able to show a little bit on the screen and force the ball handler to go a little east-west and not so much north-south.
Mr. Basketball in the state of Georgia before he came to UConn. Gilbert. We'll watch these free throws from Peyton Pritchard, a terrific shooter. Oregon now 13 for 14 at the foul line in the game. UConn is 13 for 20, so the Ducks have won some points there.
Well, Pritchard being asked to do more than just what's on the court, asked to step into a larger leadership role with all the departures. Played pretty much the same minutes as he did last year so far, and his stat line has been more efficient and better across the board.
Snaps an 8-0 UConn run. Gilbert dribbles away from the press. They have numbers on this side. Patel.
Great defense by Wooten.
That is the principle of verticality in textbook fashion. Went straight up, got the stuff.
Right here.
That was great defense on the back line. Numbers advantage for UConn. Wooten closed it up real quick by just going straight up and down with his hands.
White with some space into the lane and foul. Foul against David Honora, and that is his 5th. So Honora, the grad transfer to Cornell, has fouled out for UConn.
Well, and for Wooten, though, all the things that he does well out on the floor, and you get that sense of how you can impact the game. Walling up. Now, he's got great ability to block, but watch him go straight up. Even though he's inside the arc, he held the principles of verticality. And made no contact there. Good job. Nice job defensively. Offensive player initiating the contact, stay in verticality purposes. You get the missed shot, and you get the ball down at the other end of the floor, and now your teammate has an opportunity to get some points at the free throw line.
Paul White, the redshirt junior transfer from Georgetown. And Honora's day is done for UConn. Carlton is back in the game with his 4 fouls. Long rest on the bench for Josh Carlton is over. He'll need to go to work down low. White gives Oregon the lead, 57-56. Winner of this game gets the winner of Michigan State DePaul tomorrow night.
Pretty impressive to watch the way Dana Altman gets these transfers to come in and then adapt to his system and play Oregon's brand of basketball.
Adams floats it up, rattles it home.
I would stay in that pick and roll offense. Right now, Oregon's struggling a little bit, and their bigs are uncertain of how they're defending it, and they're giving up too much space to the guards.
Pritchard will go right at Carlton, who has 4 fouls. A whistle underneath, and if this is on Carlton, he's done. It is Josh Carlton's 5th foul.
Now, this is the other end of the floor. Again, look at the space between the screener and the player playing defense, and that's Wooten, and you get him just a little hesitation and a shot over the top. Now, that was effective for UConn, and it came right back down at the other end of the floor. Oregon said, okay, you like to pick and roll, and you like to put us in those situations, we're going to put you in it. And Pritchard is so smart at understanding how to attack off this pick and rolls as well to create that contact and get the trip to the free throw line.
Now, this is pretty interesting what Kevin Ollie is doing here, Sean. He's bringing in Anderson. They're going to run with 4 guards and put Larrier at the 5. So no Honora, no Carlton. The freshman Whaley will stay on the bench. Haven't seen the freshman Mamadou Diarra. You like this small lineup that UConn's running without a necessity?
Well, with the way that they're playing, yeah. I mean, it's not like they're playing with somebody with their back to the basket. It's not like they're dumping it down and cutting off the post. Everything that they've been doing has been driven by the perimeter game. You can still put those players in pick and roll situations if that's what you want to do, even with the smaller lineup. The one concern I would have would be rebounding the basketball and finishing off possessions. And here comes the screen.
Adams looking around Pritchard. Adams with a kick. Extra passes to Larrier. His 3 is flattened. Wooten could not corral the rebound, but White does keep it in green. 5 to play here in the second half of this tie game. And a steal. Gilbert tries to keep it in bounds. Out to Gilbert in the step-in, denied from behind by White. It stays with UConn's Anderson.
Set it up, and I bring the on-ball screen up. Kevin Ollie's got to determine who he wants to screen.
Adams going to work on Wooten, lost his own handle. Adams has it knocked away by Pritchard. Bodies all over the floor.
What a great play. That is such a phenomenal play by Vitale. That is one of the smarter plays that you will see in a college basketball season. I'll tell you why. He's in a no-win situation. He's laying on the floor. He knows guys are about to dive on him. Great scramble, great hustle by all the players. He realizes an Oregon Duck player's out of bounds. Just throw the ball right off of his arm as he's out of bounds. You maintain possession of the ball. That is a very, very smart basketball play.
He threw it right off of Keith Smith. Michael Stevens right there to award UConn possession.
Well, now they've got to wipe up all the wet spots from all the bodies hitting the floor. But I'll tell you, that last possession for UConn, they thought they had a mismatch, so they went one-on-one. But it was too much one-on-one. You're dribbling around. You're going nowhere. If you dribble the ball 5 times and you haven't broken a 4-foot barrier, you need to give the ball up or call for a screen and do something else. Instead, you get a little too loose with your handles. They actually double team the ball and get the turnover. As you watch this, look how many dribbles. Count the dribbles. Where's the passes? Where's the movement? Is he getting anywhere? Is he having any success? No, he's going backwards. And then it's the mad dash and the mad scrambles and bodies all over the floor. And just great awareness. UConn bench, they know that hustle is a big part of UConn's brand of basketball.
Well, because the possession did not change hands, the shot clock right now is at 6, and Kevin Ollie basically gets a free timeout to set up a play. 15 lead changes in this back and forth game. Connecticut led by 9 in the first half, 7 at the break. Oregon has led for a good portion of this second half as we've gone back and forth, but the Ducks have gone cold from the field. Anderson to inbound for UConn, with Adams, Gilbert, Vitale, and Larrier in the game offensively. Adams is free. Adams will take it. No good on the elevation, and the rebound to White. Adams a little slow to get up. He is behind the play. Oregon has numbers here. And White has it poked away. Anderson lost it because he was fouled. Have a foul going against Oregon's Paul White, and that will be his 4th. Concern right now for Adams, who is crouched next to Kevin Ollie. Got up slow behind that play.
White got him with his leg as he stepped out. It was his right leg that got in front of the dribbler, making the contact.
So the free throws for Antoine Anderson. 11 points per game in the first 3 for UConn. He has 5 tonight.
Foul trouble for both teams right now. So I mean, they're both kind of in a very similar situation. And again, for UConn, they're without a couple of their bigs.
McIntosh with his 4 fouls back in the game for Oregon as Anderson hits both. UConn's playing Larrier, who's played some 3, some 4 this year at the 5. 6'8", 185 pounds. And he is on Wooten down low. McIntosh will take it right in on Adams.
Yeah,
and that's where the lack of height hurts.
That's where the small lineup hurts you. It's not even the lack of height as much as it is the lack of size and strength, especially when it comes to McIntosh and his rip through. There's nothing Adams could really do defensively that's going to slow him down. So if you're UConn, you got to pinch in those moments.
Larrier got the matchup with Pritchard. Larrier takes it into the paint, and McIntosh pulls down the rebound.
You've got a wet spot in the middle of the floor. 2 bodies have gone down there.
Brown has it ripped away by Gilbert. Here come the Huskies. Vitale. And another rebound for McIntosh, who was tangled up with Gilbert, and a foul is going against Alterique Gilbert. Both teams in the double bonus. Physical play on both sides, and a tie basketball game with 3:25 to go. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800 State Farm. And by the long-lasting power of Energizer. Still going. Tonight on SportsCenter, following the Egg Bowl on ESPN, the numbers show that Auburn could be in a good position to upset Alabama in the Iron Bowl. An all-access interview with Lane Kiffin on how he's changed the culture at Florida Atlantic, and playoff drama in Dallas. The Chargers have shot at the 6th seed after their big win over the Bulls. SportsCenter with Kenny and Max on ESPN, streaming live on the ESPN app.
You talk about Oregon and their success. How about that guy right there, Jordan Bell? What a rookie season he is having for the Golden State Warriors. He came in, and it doesn't surprise me. Their general manager, Bob Myers, does such a great job identifying pieces that can fit in their system. And it's no different than what Dana Altman does as general manager / coach of the Oregon Ducks. And it's no secret he won his 600th career victory over Alabama State. He's just the 34th coach in NCAA history to accomplish that feat. And you look at one of 6 active coaches to have 20 consecutive winning seasons. And Dana Altman's a winner through and through, and he finds players that embody exactly what he's looking for and what he demands.
He's got Mikhail McIntosh here, a double-double for him, 10 and 11. Oregon back in the lead. UConn still with a 4-guard look along with Larrier out of the timeout. Antoine Anderson against Troy Brown. Vital on the drive. Vital leans in, and a blocking foul is called against Troy Brown. That is Brown's first foul of this half, but it is his 4th of the game.
And that was a really good job and a really nice offensive possession for UConn. And just as much as, you know, we talked about McIntosh having the sizable advantage over Adams, who was defending him on that previous possession. If you space the floor in your UConn against this lineup that has some taller players out on the floor for Oregon, if you space the floor and force them to react quickly, the help side rotations aren't going to be quick. So that means if you've got a quicker player and a quick first step advantage, if you get by your first line of defense, you're going to be able to pick up fouls or finish at the iron.
UConn certainly has that quickness. Vital, one of those players. All 3 points at the foul line for him. Had 30 in the win over Boston University on Sunday, and he has not been asked to do as much offensively today. 0 for 5 from the field, though he is perfect at the line.
You and I were talking about during the break. Oregon, such a strong three-point shooting team this year, averaging 11 plus made three-pointers per game. They have only 5 made on the game and none in the second half. They are 0 for 6 from beyond the arc here in the second 20 minutes.
Kevin Ollie would have signed up for that immediately, but here he is in a tie game. Ducks have played better defensively in this second half. Brown dragged his feet. That's a travel, and it's going back to UConn.
Well, notice what UConn did on that last possession. Instead of staying in their man-to-man defense where they had some mismatches, they went to the zone. The zone confused Oregon ever so slightly, changed up the play call that they wanted to have, and then you force the ball in, and the travel gets called.
16th turnover against the Ducks. Brown out of the game defensively. Keith Smith has returned, number 11 in green. Gilbert with 10 to shoot. Kevin Ollie wants the pick. Gilbert goes the other way. Anderson off the feed. Jams Connecticut in front.
Great execution that time, bringing the screen up. Instead of shooting over the defense, being unselfish and finding your teammate.
McIntosh misses a bunny, meanwhile, getting inside the 2-3 zone, and UConn has the ball and the lead with 2 to play. Kevin Ollie wants to slow down the pace. Huskies will space the floor with Adams guarded by Pritchard. The screen from Larrier. Adams. Offensive rebound, Larrier. And a foul. The only big in the game for Connecticut comes up with the offensive board. Pritchard with the foul, and Larrier will shoot 2.
You go to the last possession. Here comes the on-ball screen. As we freeze it right here, he's going to catch this seam. This is where the score is coming from, on the back line of the defense. It's a great job getting by the defense, forcing the defense to step, and then finishing at the iron.
It was only the 4th assist of the game for UConn, and it was as pivotal as any as Larrier hits the first.
You and I expected this game to be tight all the way throughout. When we were in our pre-production meeting, what do you think this game's going to look like? Well, we know the similarities. They got similar size. Differences being their strengths of the offense. And the lack of three-pointers tonight for Oregon, in particular here in the second half, it's a big part why it's just a 4-point deficit. Still plenty of time, obviously, for Oregon. No need to panic.
Pritchard. Still no 3.5 for Oregon. And the rebound to Adams.
There's going to be a timeout called by UConn.
Kevin Ollie had 3. Might as well use it. Huskies have the ball up by 4.
Understanding the value of this possession. You're up 4 with 1 minute and 20 seconds left to go in this contest. You want to make sure that you don't give up an empty possession. We want to make sure that you find exactly the shot that you want. And for these two teams, they're playing to play the winner of the Michigan State-DePaul game that's still yet to come. That game will switch over to ESPN. You and I will be on that one as well. But this is a big moment and a big possession for UConn.
We talked before the game about the pace of this game, and if this game was played up in the 80s and 90s, it would be advantage Oregon. It has not been. Would you say UConn has controlled the tempo more so than the Ducks?
They controlled the tempo from the start of the game. Now, Oregon made an adjustment at halftime and came out and showed better toughness at the defensive end of the floor, moved the ball better on the offensive end, and didn't settle for the perimeter shot. However, in doing so, you take away one of the biggest strengths that the Oregon Ducks have, and that's been their three-point shooting. So for UConn, I think there's been a lot more things that have gone right for a majority of the game than there has been for Oregon. Too many turnovers for Oregon on the night. A little bit sloppy. They had 15 turnovers last time we got the box score. I think they've had one other one since then.
Yeah, 16 right now. That Brown travel was the 16th. 4 guards on the floor for UConn still. Anderson with 12 to shoot. Anderson on the drive. Feeds Gilbert. Facing up Brown. Off to Anderson, 5 to shoot. Anderson gets it off the time. Off the front rim and drops away.
That was not the execution they called the timeout for.
Pritchard, 50 seconds to go. Steps into the lane. Offensive foul against Pritchard.
Well, he drove in, he got to his spot, but on the jump stop, his offhand extended out. When that extends away from your body, this is not a natural shooting motion. This is not him doing anything more than clearing space.
That is the 17th Oregon turnover of the game. Adams, that's knocked away, and it will stay with UConn. Michael Stevens at first signaled for Oregon, but it is UConn ball. And down to Adams. Gilbert gets it across the timeline.
Dana Altman choosing not to foul right now.
You agree with that?
No, I would foul. I'd elongate this game.
Gilbert will be fouled by Pritchard.
All right, see, and that's why, okay, in my opinion there, you just let about 6 or 7 extra seconds come off the clock before fouling. Now, if you take those 6 or 7 extra seconds, you're at 38 seconds left to go on the clock here in a 2-possession game. You've got to elongate this game, and you've got to make sure you give yourself the most opportunities at the offensive end of the floor right now, and you got to hope that UConn misses some free throws.
Gilbert 2 for 3 at the line today, 8 of 14 on the year, and he misses the first.
So regardless of what happens here, makes the shot, misses the shot, we're still a 2-possession game. At the best, it would be a 5-point lead, so you don't need a 3 right away, but I would look to try to get something going to the basket. And with this lineup on the floor, I'm setting a screen for Pritchard. I know he just picked up the offensive foul, but I trust him the most with making the play.
Gilbert leaves both short. This is still a 4-point game. Pritchard, 25 to go. Bailey at 3. No. Rebound and a foul against Oregon. More free throws coming for UConn. The foul against McIntosh. He has fouled out.
And everybody's booing. That's a great foul. It's a great foul. Time is stopped. Okay, they didn't have possession of the ball anyways. UConn had possession of the ball. It was going to go the other way. Take the foul, no time runs off the clock, and you go to the other end. Now, the bad part about it is obviously you've got a player that fouls out of the game, but whether that foul was called or not, if it's not called, you're going to lose time going up the floor.
McIntosh, the second Oregon player to foul out, along with Elijah Brown. And now Larrier, 5 of 6 at the stripe today, and he rolls in the first. Did you like that play, though, to set up a 3 for Bailey?
No. Again, I said I want a ball screen and Pritchard going to the rim and then letting him make a play off of it.
Larrier hits both. Big game for this young man.
Now you need to try to get something, again, on the floor. Good job. See, that's what I thought they should have done on the previous possession. Let Pritchard make a play. Again, I said I'm not worried about him pushing off a second time. He's a smart player. He's not going to make the same mistake twice.
Foul is against Anderson, his 4th. Kevin Ollie won't like that. Stops the clock with 18 seconds to go. Oregon has been terrific at the line today, 19 for 21. And Pritchard buries the first. He has a team high 14. Keith Smith returns for Sorkin defensively for Oregon. Peyton Pritchard trying to cut this to a 4-point lead. It would still be a 2-possession game. And Pritchard leaves it short. Anderson skies in for the rebound, and he walked.
Yeah.
We're right on that.
That was a great call. He traveled as he came on the offensive rebound. He came from the weak side. He lost his balance, and he traveled with the basketball.
Kevin Ollie briefly tried to argue that he was pushed, but he gave up the argument quickly.
That is a great call. Good job by the officials staying on top of that, because what it does now, you look at the score, and they get 2 seconds run off the clock, and you've regained possession of the basketball already. So you trade up the what would have been the made basket to get possession of the ball again. That's huge for Oregon.
Just across the way from us at the vet, Florida leads 60-41 in that game on Stanford, the motion bracket. That game over on ESPN2. Feel free to flip onto that one after the conclusion of this. After these remaining 16.4 seconds, Gators, if they win, will get the winner of Gonzaga, Ohio State. And there's another 2 for a terrific Florida team, which you think is right now one of the top 2 in the SEC. Right now, you know, Kentucky will be different, but them and Texas A&M, they've been great.
Yeah, and you look at where they're at now, not where they're going to be. You know, Kentucky's going to find their rhythm. They're going to find their way. But
they always do.
But you look at Billy Kennedy's team at Texas A&M, integrating back in Robert Williams, who came back in a year where he could have potentially been a lottery pick. Add him with Tyler Davis, Admon Gilder, DJ Hogue. That's a really good team that they've got down in College Station. And then Mike White's system. You look at Chris Chioza, number 11 in orange on the right-hand side of your screen. He had a triple-double last year coming off the bench. He's the first player since 2007 to accomplish that feat off the bench. Now he's in a starting role with Casey Hill gone. Of course, Casey Hill was a big part of their success a year ago.
All right, Pritchard will inbound for Oregon. Brown, White, Sorkin, and Bailey for the Ducks. Winner of this game gets the winner of that one. Bottom of your screen, Michigan State to Paul. Pritchard. Pass deflected off the hands of White into the hands of Bailey. Back to Pritchard from way out. No good on the 3. Rebound Vitale. And a foul called with 8.6 to go. Christian Vitale triumphantly hoists the basketball. He and the Huskies are 8.5 seconds away from an early signature win for this rebuilt UConn team.
You're trying to build momentum. You're trying to reestablish your brand, your identity of basketball. And for UConn and for so many of these teams, this is what you're hoping to do. Look, the Oregon coaching staff, they're trying to find out who their team is right now. You know, they had some success, the margin of victory, the best in all of college basketball, but the competition level they knew was picking up. That's why so many of these coaches, and I give each and every one of these coaches credit for saying, you know what, yeah, I want to be part of this event.
Troy Brown is fouled out of the game, the 3rd Duck to do so. Only 6 points for the freshman tonight.
And not his best game. And I've seen Troy play a lot, whether it be at the high school level, the AAU level, the Nike Hoop Summit. He's a much better player than what he showed tonight. But there's going to be nights where, as a freshman, you don't play your best. And that's why you can't overreact. You can't strike up concern about an individual performance this early in the college basketball season. I will say this. The concern for me is no three-pointers made in the second half for Oregon. And far too many turnovers on the night. That's the difference in the game. Oregon wasn't itself tonight. Oregon got taken out of what it does best, and that's shoot the 3 ball, space the floor, and finish at the rim. They didn't have any lobs for dunks tonight, except for the one that was the assist of the game, which wasn't a lob, but it was a great pass. And then in the second half, they never found the open space to knock down their perimeter shot.
And Karan Butler in the house, a former UConn great.
And current ESPN employee.
That's right. Our own Karan Butler.
He did a good job. He called that Nevada game that I was talking about against Rhode Island where E.C. Matthews got hurt. It was his first game that he called for us, and it was on ESPNU.
Well, Kevin Ollie said he was sick of talking about last year.
Well, he doesn't have to talk about it anymore.
He's not going to get many more questions now. What a win for UConn. It's not a road game, but it might as well be here in Portland. Kevin Ollie and the Huskies rally late. They beat the Ducks 71-63. They will move on to the winners section of this little 4-team portion of the victory bracket, and the winner of Michigan State and DePaul, North Carolina and Arkansas earlier today, and UConn tonight with a signature early win. 16 for Gilbert, 16 for Adams, and a team high 18 for Terry Larier.
Yeah, it was the attacking, the aggressiveness, the dribble penetration for Kevin Ollie's team that found them the victory tonight over the Oregon Ducks.
UConn gets the win. Michigan State, DePaul coming up in the next game of this doubleheader. That will be over on ESPN. We hope you join us there at 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific. That's the next game of the victory bracket of this PK80. For now, UConn can celebrate. Jalen Adams and the Huskies, big winners here over the Ducks on ESPNU.